For you.
Robert, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm now always going to pick up when you call me Robert.
No, I have to.
How are you, Brother Joel?
I'm doing well. I am doing well on this St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, it's St. Patty's Day. Top of the morning to you. That was horrible. Oh my gosh. Top of the morning to you.
That's a little better.
Yeah.
That's a little
You got to
better.
carry the R. Morning.
Some of my Irish accents work and some are just absolutely horrible. Just
Do the 40 days and 40 nights.
30 days and 30 nights. So, this is a conversation we were having prior to hitting record.
When Joel was in Ireland and he went and saw a movie called 40 Days and 40 Nights.
Well,
And they had pronounced it.
Oh,
come on, just say it.
We had to call on the phone to figure out what was playing, and they got to that movie and just full-on Irish accent. 30 days and 30 nights.
That's awesome.
But I've got, on my mom's side of the family, we've got some Irish heritage. Kim is half Irish.
Oh, I totally buy that, yeah.
Her mom is 100%.
Oh, 100%, wow.
Yeah, came over when she
Melissa
was 16.
is very, Kim is Joel's wife, Melissa's mine.
Yep.
And Melissa has a ton of Irish heritage.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know exactly how much, but yeah, probably at least 50 too.
Yeah.
So we married Irish ladies. Irish ladies.
It was celebrated on my dad's side, on my mom's side. Gosh. So I've told you I grew up at a hardware store my grandfather owned. Worked there for about 9 years. My grandfather loved Irish heritage. So he would, on St. Patrick's Day, go to work this full green suit
Oh, that's
with the
awesome.
hat. And so when I get to St. Patrick's Day, that's one of the memories I have.
And you're in green today.
I've got a little green on.
Yeah.
More than you.
I've got absolutely
is
none. I've got blue
Maybe
with
a
some
shoelace?
with some denim blue, and
nothing.
my shoes are blue.
Not even like any dirt on your pants that we could
No.
pawn off as green.
Yeah, I do have a tiny bit of Irish in me.
Mm-hmm.
Just not much.
Not much.
Tiny isn't much, I guess. That was redundant.
Yeah, kind of saying the same thing there.
Yeah.
What do you got for us?
By the way, if anybody was not aware of our infantile humor before,
Yeah.
they definitely are now.
Yeah.
40 days and 40 nights.
Well, and how many times do we hit record and then after 5 minutes just say, all right, let's start over?
Which we arguably should do right now, but we won't.
Erase it. Yeah.
Okay, this is a theme song that I would have never thought of myself.
First, what decade?
2000s,
Okay.
I think. Maybe 2010s. No, 2010. Maybe it crosses over.
Will I know it?
Yes, you'll definitely know it because the only reason that I even thought, well, I think we thought of it before, but the primary reason I thought of it was from conversations that you and I had previously shared.
About this show?
Yeah, even like last Friday night on your deck.
Yeah. What were we talking about? I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I remember there was a show that you acknowledged that you were going to play soon.
Yeah. Oh, this is not that show.
Hmm.
But you'll know this within the first like 3 words. You ready?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Little Carole King.
As we call it in our household, we just call it Gigi.
Gigi.
Gilmore Girls.
Yeah. I will follow anywhere.
Tell me to.
Yeah. It's a show that both of our wives enjoy.
Yep.
And so therefore we have seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And we probably know more about it than we would like to.
I know a fair amount about it.
It's not
actually.
a bad show.
It's not.
It's, in my opinion, it's got very good writing and acting. I like that the dialogue is incredibly fast paced, but the storylines are hokey.
Well, and also, where is it set?
Oh, I don't know.
Connecticut.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right outside of Yale.
Small town Connecticut. So they would
Rory goes to Yale, right?
Rory goes to Yale. They talk
Yeah.
about Yale. They talk about episode recently that I happened to watch, the Hartford Courant. So they do kind of drop those little Connecticut pieces, which is where I am from, where I spent half my life.
Yeah. Yeah, so that adds a very
It adds a little bit
nice
something.
dynamic to it.
It's got this small town Connecticut feel to it.
It adds, does by the way, oh, go ahead. I'm gonna.
I have actually been on the set, the downtown set.
Is the actual set in Connecticut?
It's in L.A.
Oh, I was gonna say.
I think the Warner Brothers set. So I have a friend from my undergrad who works in the business, and when I went out to L.A., saw her, and she took me onto the Warner Brothers lot.
Oh, cool.
Years ago.
Oh, how awesome is that?
And we saw like a little gazebo, and they use it for many different shows. But
Were they actually shooting at the time, or
no, not at all. Gosh, long time ago.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it and you like family dramas, or it's not a bad show.
And the family dynamics are actually fascinating.
From a systems theory perspective,
Absolutely.
they do a very good job with that, I do have to say.
The dynamics between Lorelai and her mom are fascinating.
Well, between both of her parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then grandparents to granddaughter, mother to daughter, and then well, 2 generations of mothers to daughters.
Yeah.
But how many theme songs are going to be as good as like the great Carole King?
Yeah.
I mean it's not up there in the pantheon of top theme songs, but I think perhaps it should.
It should be. It's a catchy tune, and when you start to watch the show, and
you understand why
appreciate the relationships in the show, and it's ultimately all about Lorelai and her daughter Rory, their relationship.
Yeah.
You appreciate the song because it fits really well.
It was a song first, though, right? I mean, it was Carole King's song, and then they took it and they began with the second verse, I believe.
I'm guessing.
I think there's a first verse that's not in there.
I have no idea.
But I don't have like all of Carole King's songs, and I wouldn't even know the song if it weren't for Gilmore Girls. But you can't.
I wouldn't either. But it's become
Carole King is an all-time
huge because of Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, is an all-timer.
And now it's on Netflix. A whole new generation is starting to watch it.
Yes, which is why you and I are seeing it or hearing it echo through our homes again.
Absolutely. All right,
People are like, "Come on, Joel and Rob, what the heck? What the heck?
Enough with Gilmore
Good
Girls."
Gosh, you guys, you take this farther every week.
And we could easily go for another 20 minutes.
So what I was going to say about, like, I'm going to take it further now.
I've tried to segue.
I know, and I'm really ruining it. My apologies to everybody. But
I gotta
WandaVision,
rein this thing.
you know,
yeah.
You know how this was in Connecticut. WandaVision being in Westview or Westville.
That's set in Connecticut too?
No, that's New Jersey. It's a real town in New Jersey, Westview.
Oh, I know Westfield.
Westfield, yeah.
It's northern suburbs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's where...
That's where the Trader Joe's in Westfield.
That's where WandaVision is...
No kidding.
Is set. Yeah.
Did you watch the end of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen it. But will. I think you've encouraged me to check it out.
Yeah.
So...
Party days and party nights.
I'm reining us in. So we are, I think this was week 4 of Less is More.
Yeah.
Less greed, more joy. And we kind of started by talking about how of all of the sins and confession that we want to bring to the table in this series, this one might be the kind of easiest to explore. The other ones were maybe not as obvious.
A little subtler.
Yeah, but this one we kind of thought, this one will be at first easy to explore. But I think in writing the sermon, we kind of quickly found out sometimes that makes it even harder.
It does make it harder.
It's a little easier to see from the outside.
I think the challenge with idolatry in some ways is simply convincing ourselves to admit that it's in there, right? We
Yes.
all have idols in our lives that we put before God. And once you see them, it's pretty, I think, eye opening. The struggle is allowing yourself to see them. With greed, I think it's
Yeah.
really the reverse. It's we pretty much can all recognize areas of greed within us. And because we recognize it and know that it's not something that, you know, we're called to live into, we're kind of ashamed and therefore reluctant to go there.
Mm. Mm.
Greed, by the way, we're defining as wanting or seeking or saving more of something than you need.
Yeah. Hoarding was a word we used
Yeah,
too.
hoarding.
Yep.
Hoarding. So it goes both ways, right? Seeking more than you need, wanting it, but also having it and hoarding more than you need. And with that kind of broader definition, I really, really struggle in anyone who lives in middle to upper class American society to think that greed is not present there in some form or another, because society just it screams it for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, we didn't think about this at all in writing the sermon, but I just went back to Wall Street, the movie.
Oh, great movie
with
Charlie Sheen
and
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas, where Michael Douglas plays Gordon Gekko, and he has his famous line where he says, "Greed is good."
Yes.
Greed
Yes.
is good. And so at the height of the 80s, this desire that's just so, as you said really well, just kind of in the DNA sometimes of our culture of, the goal
Yeah.
is to ultimately hoard. We
Get more.
We explored that Bible story, parable from Jesus about the man who his barn was full and he had more crops and produce, didn't know what to do with it. And so his vision was, well, I'm going to build a bigger barn.
I'm going to build a bigger barn.
I want to build multiple barns. And
I want a bigger barn. It's not enough that my business succeeds and I have more than I need. I'm going to keep all this and build a bigger barn. And you had a great line in the sermon when you just noted, the tendency within all of us. You were speaking for yourself, but I heard it, the tendency within all of us to build bigger barns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keeping up with it goes both ways. Keeping up with the Joneses, we get a bigger house than we need. We drive bigger cars than we need. We consume more food than we need. We consume more electricity than we need.
Yeah.
And if we don't, then we desire to. Meanwhile, there's so many who go without.
I've been hearing in this this series, which I think, as I thought about it a little bit, why I was excited about it, because it fit so well into a Lenten sermon series.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we have our Ash Wednesday service and we say part of the overarching goal of the Lenten journey is self-examination, to look within. And as we've been exploring these particular sins, as we call them, and the need for confession, I've been seeing this constant invitation to keep self-examining. Because all of these that we've noted, like, when do you get to the point where you just kind of check it off?
Oh, golly.
Right? And so, like, as we talked about greed and this desire to build bigger barns, and we talked about this on Sunday too, that desire is always there. It's never really goes away, especially in the culture that we live in Western American culture, where we are told, keep building.
Yeah.
Bigger. Keep getting more.
Yeah.
And how that constant self-examination, like we didn't dig into it too much. We just kind of teased it out. We kind of stayed within the one kind of lane. But we talked about how greed can kind of take over. What did we say? What did we say? Greedy with compassion, greedy with grace, greedy with hope, greedy with support, greedy with love. How we can get to this place if we're not pausing to look inward and self-examine a little bit and offer some confession of just taking.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Compassion is mine to receive, but not necessarily mine to give.
Absolutely.
Mercy is mine to receive. Peace is mine to receive, but it's okay if other people don't live with peace. Like, goes back to that great line, I believe it was Richard Rohr, but I could be wrong. The peace of Jesus Christ entails understanding that there can't fundamentally be peace for one until there's peace for all.
Was that Martin Luther King? I can't remember.
I think it's Rohr.
Okay.
There can't be peace for me until there's peace for you.
Yeah.
Like, there can't be grace for me until there's grace for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you hit the nail on the head with that continual self-examination, because you're right. We're never there. It's never a box we can check. And the second we think we do, we're there. The second we think we can check it is, oh man, that's immediately when we become blind to what we need to see the very most. Because Jesus, throughout the gospel, let's be real, I mean, the dude was radical.
Yeah.
He was antithetical to the ways of the world in so many profound ways. The last will be first, and the first will be last. Go and sell everything you've got and give your money to the poor. He doesn't say that, you're screwed if you want more. So it's not that you are... It's not that Jesus how do I say this? Jesus absolutely understands the desires of this world fill us. But he says living into the kingdom of God requires living by a different set of priorities, where even though these priorities to consume and hoard and save and achieve are over here calling you, and faith requires that you turn away and live into the values of the kingdom. Mm-hmm. And so it's okay, I think, to desire. The question is, how do we act? Because let's face it, none of us, like, take me, for example, when I see, like, I don't know, when I see, the other day I saw a Ferrari driving down York Road. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and my mouth started to water.
Yeah.
Hey, kudos to that person driving the Ferrari. I'm not judging. I'm saying, hey, I would love to drive a Ferrari.
My mouth waters a little bit when I see the Corvette, especially the new ones.
Oh, the mid-engine now? Beautiful. Ooh. It's also, the other thing about greed too, though, is that it's not just about not giving our blessings away. It's also about not using our blessings to live life fully. Yeah. Because in the story, the parable, the guy gets more than he needs from his annual harvest. And it's not just that he doesn't give it away, he wants to save it, to use for some future time for himself, right? That's the idea. And then God comes and says, listen, idiot, you're going to die tonight. And here you are saving all this stuff. Where does it go then? Mm-hmm. The idea, the parable doesn't exactly say what God said this man should have done, right? He could have given it to the poor and the hungry, or he could have also used some of it to throw a huge bash for his neighbors and really lived and celebrated this abundant thing. Part of this has also had me thinking about the ways I haven't used my gifts and blessings to bless others, and how I haven't used my gifts and blessings to really live life more fully, to celebrate things that should be celebrated, and to celebrate people who should be celebrated, to really live life much more fully, instead of thinking that I need a little bit more in that checking account or savings account first.
Yep.
Because what ultimately happens, and this is what greed does, right? You're never there. you say, okay, I need X in my savings account, and then I'll do Y.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is you'll get X, you'll obtain X, but then it just becomes X plus.
Yeah.
I need X plus A, and then X plus B, and then X plus C, and then X plus D, because greed blinds you to what you really already have, and convinces you that you need more.
Yeah. I've appreciated you saying this a few times, the slippery slope of all of these that we've named, that there is something kind of good at the beginning, right? Like saving's
good.
is good.
Sure.
You should save, but how quickly, for me, I can do exactly what you just talked about, of just want to keep building a bigger barn, keep saving, to the point where I'm not taking time to go, wow, I actually have this here to celebrate this that I want to celebrate, or to take this and give it here where it's needed.
And how good would that feel?
That would ultimately bring joy, which is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
That ultimately, less greed and more joy. The gift of generosity. That when you get to it, and you had a great story about Mike Tyson's Punch Out and your brother, but that kind of practice of letting go and giving and seeing, and it's a struggle too, especially when it's something that hasn't been practiced regularly. Yeah. For me, I've struggled with it.
Me too.
The story I told about writing a check that had a decent amount on that check for me at that time.
A meaningful amount.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember kind of my hand shaking a little bit, but how grateful I was as I learned how to do that. It took me a little while. It didn't just happen naturally. I had to practice it. I had to keep doing it.
It's a discipline, right?
It is. Yep. And it's something that, like I tried to share in my story, I still struggle to build a bigger barn.
Yeah.
I do.
Me too.
And that's okay. Like
right.
Noticing it is fine. We have not wanted this to be any kind of, okay, this is an opportunity to take a whip and hit myself. No, it's actually just to be able to slow down and pause and look at it and go, that's where the confession comes in a place where if you're doing it with yourself and ultimately in the presence of God, there's no judgment. Yeah. It's just kind of going, here's what I did, or here's who I am, right? Let me be honest right now.
And let me reassess and then reprioritize.
Mm-hmm.
Because the ultimate aim in all of this, right, is not simply life as God intends because we're trying to appease a vengeful God or an angry God. The aim is life as God intends, life in the kingdom of God, because ultimately we believe that's where life is fullest, which means that's where life is most joyful.
Yeah.
And what sin does is the first week we talked about how it puts on these blinders that prevents us from seeing the blessings and the joy that are already ours if we just turn and see them and live into them. And greed does that primarily by by blinding us to the joy of generosity, and just how much joy and fulfillment is found in using your blessings instead of hoarding them.
Yeah.
And it's a struggle, and it's such an innate, inherent struggle, which is why I don't think there's many people who don't struggle from it. And again, it's not to say that you should feel bad or guilty about it. It's an invitation to explore it and learn from it, and pay attention to it, so that once you see it, you can hopefully remove the blinders and begin seeing and living into a new perspective, a new taste, a fuller, better, more joyful taste. Well
said, Robert. Well said.
Thanks, Joshy.
You can find us at Towson Press on Facebook and at Instagram. We've got one left in this series this coming Sunday.
We got 2 left.
We do?
Yeah,
Is there one on Palm Sunday?
there is.
Oh.
Less fear, more faith.
Ooh.
Or more hope. I don't know. But I know it's fear.
We're going to talk about something.
Yeah.
Until then, everybody, have
Peace
a good
out.
day. Thanks for being with us.